the nice thing is that as you were all going around sharing, I can think of ways to wrap all of you into what we're doing at YogaFit. Obviously, we are the largest yoga school in North America, and we're also a company that's very interested in sustainability. And I'm just going to go into that a little bit to start with, because I know this is the Bright Green program, and so we'll just talk about sustainability as a corporation. As a company, when I started the company, we just made the decision that we would always give back from day one. Part of our way of giving back is by requiring everyone who goes through one of our YogaFit Level 1 trainings to do 8 hours of community service work, teaching yoga to a group of people who normally wouldn't have the opportunity to receive it. So they go out, they complete their first training, and they go into prisons. They work with battered women, they might work with corporate stressed out executives, they might work with their local fire department, school, pet shelter. We get thousands of letters every week. This we've done from the beginning, and this is our Karma Yoga. And when Master Vivekananda came to the United States in 1893 and brought yoga to the US at a conference in Chicago, he said that Karma Yoga was the most important yoga that one could do. And basically that means giving back, selfless service. And so our company really is founded on those principles. And everything that we've done along the way, we incorporated in 1997, has been really about giving back, the cornerstone of our business. So when I decided to buy a building for the company, naturally I wanted to make it as green as possible. And I want to acknowledge you all, because I think that we really need more people in this country and on this planet who are interested in sustainability. And there are ways for everyone to participate. Now, I'm no green expert, but I did know when I bought a building, if I was going to put in flooring, I would want to put bamboo flooring in. I did know to rip out all the fluorescent lights and put in energy-saving lights. We used recycled denim insulation to insulate the building, and set up rainwater catches just to try to do as much as we could. The low volume paint and everything. So this is something that anyone who's purchasing a piece of property can do. It's the most simple thing, and yet something that I think needs a lot more awareness attached to it. So hopefully you're all going to go out and share that message as you move further in your career, in your green career. I think that running a business and trying to be green is a constant challenge. It's always been my goal to have a paperless office, and we have our CEO here who needs paper to do her job. So you're always run into those challenges running a business. Profit versus the right thing to do. Actually writing a new book now on the business of yoga and the dichotomy there, because the tenets of yoga are very far away from business 101, 102, or MBA program and all of that. The decisions that one has to make on a daily basis don't always fall in line with doing the right thing. And consequently, when you make the decision to do the right thing, you have to just accept the consequences that come with that. So at this point, I'm going to take questions as we go, because I'm going to touch on a number of different topics. So does anyone have any questions and anything so far?
Where are you located?
Our corporate headquarters are in Torrance.
And how big of a building? And how
We're a
many
6,000 square foot building. And it's interesting because ExxonMobil is right down the street, and anybody who's been to Torrance are probably familiar with the big power plants and the things that are released into the air on a regular basis that who knows what they are, but I don't ever go jogging in Torrance. Let's just say that. So it's interesting to be a green building in an area that's really anything but green. Any other questions?
What about people who just aren't they just want to do yoga and they're saying, well, all this other stuff I'm not so interested in, but I want to be a yoga teacher. Are they kind of weeded out? Are you saying that we're not for you then? And let's say, if someone that doesn't share that other vision, yeah.
Well, I really believe that when one starts practicing yoga, everything changes. I know when I started practicing yoga, after a while I started to want to get rid of most of my possessions. I wanted to live a very simple life. Obviously, when one gets more in touch with the body, as you know as a medical professional, you are equally as in touch with your surroundings. You'll notice that most of the litter in this country, what is it when you look on the sides of the road? It's beer cans, it's soda cans, it's cigarette packs, it's fast food wrappers. So I have a theory, and it's just my theory, but I think that the more we pollute ourselves, the more apt we are to pollute our environment. And again, this is a great global message that I think needs to get out to society. So if one is practicing yoga and one is truly involved in the care of the self, and let's face it, we take our bodies wherever we go, so it really makes sense to take care of them. If we're not, we break down, and without our health, we don't have much of anything. Our health is our most valuable asset always. And so if we start to take care of the self, we develop sensitivity, awareness, and compassion for everything else. So I would think that it would come over the course of time, that shift. You know, you'll find a lot of yogis driving Priuses and trying to be more eco-friendly. And I think it kind of comes with the practice.
You know, you bring up the, you know, the hot topic between profit and sacrifice.
Yes.
And I certainly know in my business, you know, where it is on the continuum between where your company, as founders, want to decide how much to earn. And I'm wondering how it is that you guys go about making that decision. Do you consciously make a decision on how much I should make on my clothing line? How much is enough for the company to make? You know, you understand where I'm going, because when you really do talk about this in a wholesome perspective, you just say, well, how much is it before I'm overstepping the boundaries towards greed and consumption?
And so a lot of times our board sits down and says, well, how do you sustain that? You're not making profit. When we say, well, you know what, we're going to make our profit someplace else. And we'll find a way to do that. So a lot of things you have to say, well, it's not going to be the wisest choice. We hired somebody in our warehouse that had, you know, a 2-time criminal record. We made a choice to go ahead and give that person that opportunity. So we make these choices, just not with the bottom line as the dollar. And we think we can still show how that's going to be profitable. There's a lot of things that we have coming down, but we're going to be able to show other businesses of why do you want to take that risk? Why do you want to invest? Because there is an initial investment in the beginning that is what keeps people away from it. Who wants to spend $100 for a pair of jeans or $200 for a pair of jeans that are made locally?
And in our network, which is, we reach really middle America, that's our average customer. We graduate 12,000 to 15,000 instructors every year, and a lot of them are middle American people who shop at Target. And so then to say, okay, these pants now cost $130, as opposed to, you know, the old ones that were made in China or Mexico that were $50. You know, we've had a lot of backlash from our own network. The prices are too high. And so then the education of our own customer base really has to come in, and that's a constant and ongoing challenge for us, because as Americans, we're just trained to go for the cheapest thing, you know, that whole Walmart mentality, and things that are really, at the end of the day, not good for the country. Yes.
Back to the analogy or comparison you made with the oven. The picture that came to my mind was big versus small. And I started thinking about why that happened, why they went to China. And I thought, because they went public there after that bottom line for their shareholders.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to know, is YogaFit still closely held, or is it also?
It's a private company, and quite frankly, I don't think we'll ever go it very much is easier when you have a smaller company. I purposely held the growth of the company back in certain respects because we wanted to maintain the quality. And, you know, as an entrepreneur, it's never been about how much money I was going to make, because I love what I do, I'm passionate about what I do. I turn my hobby and my passion into my business. And I have to be reminded by our board or other people who work for the company that yes, it is a business, and decisions need to be made in that realm. I mean, the first time I ever did a trade show, back in the mid-90s, I just packed my car full of all the bodysuits that I had printed on, and all of our sweatshirts and t-shirts, and went to do a trade show. I had no idea, this is not so appreciative, I had no idea how much inventory I had. I had no idea how much it cost me, but I didn't know my break-even point or anything. All I knew was that I was gonna go and sell my product and get my brand out there. And obviously, I had to shift that mindset as I've gone on, but I think that entrepreneurs oftentimes are more concerned with the process and engaging in the process than perhaps the end result. I'm just curious, you're a doctor, yes?
Yes.
Have you seen your patients who have gotten healthier over the years start to change their ways of being in the world?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know, but it's a great question to think about. But I love the idea, and I hope it's true that there's kind of a radiation from the in to the out in terms of cleaning up your diet. We do a lot of work in nutrition and organic foods, etc., with patients who have all the classic American diseases of diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, heart disease. And but I don't know, and it's not a question I've asked myself. So I have to say, I have to plead ignorance now, but it's a question I'll start looking at.
And that brings me to the next topic that I'd like to touch on, and that's polluting of the physical body. As people who are all interested in green and sustainability, we have a huge crisis in this country right now. More than half of our population is obese. 1 in 3 people have diabetes. And I believe that it's going to be the demise of our nation. So, you know, it's very important that everyone start practicing some form of movement. You know, we just had breakfast this morning with the president of the American Council on Exercise. And YogaFit as a company is the only yoga company that is a partner with ACE. They're right down here in San Diego, the American Council on Exercise. And, you know, they're fighting the war on obesity too. They're trying to reach out to the consumer. And only 10% of our population belongs to a health club. I don't have statistics on how many people actually walk and move, but I do know based upon the obesity standards that a lot more people need to be doing it. So when we're talking about sustainability, we really need to look at, first and foremost, how are people polluting themselves? Let's forget about, you know, if they're driving a Hummer, or if they're not recycling, or all of the many other things that we can do that aren't green. But it's the pollution of the self, the complete disregard for the health of the physical body that perpetuates not being green everywhere else. Now, there are certain countries, and I believe there's a direct correlation, again, this is just my own process, but we look at Japan. Who's been to Japan here? Anyone? Okay. So you're familiar with their recycling program. They have 5 different recycling bins. It's mandatory that everyone recycle there. And they have one of the lowest incidences of obesity around the world. The same with a lot of the Scandinavian countries, that they're very much into green technology, and they're helping themselves. So there is a direct correlation between health and being green. Any other questions so far?
I have one
Yes.
that's kind of related to your earlier topic. You mentioned like you had to make some tough decisions, like with the clothing line and all that, as far as profitability, sacrificing profitability. Is the training of instructors, is that where you're able to be able to do that with
given a file that they have, so we reduce our shipping cost, and the UPS man or the mailman or whoever that's driving that's attached to that. So here's where I make up. You know, our shipping costs alone last year were over $100,000.
And the year before, $250,000.
So how do I make up my profit loss? Well, there's one. That's, you know, and it's how are the different departments running? How are, you know, they were shipping back, you know, pins, YogaFit pins. Why are we shipping back? Leave them. You know, give them away, that's why they're there. There's a lot of things that we do that we waste as companies. There's so much waste that goes on. And when we say you can be profitable and still be green and you make it up, it's not, oh, now we raise the training cost. The trainer has to pay that. No, the trainer shouldn't pay that. They've done nothing wrong except, right, you know, to live a really, you know, positive way of life. So that doesn't seem logical nor fair or karmic. So we use clever ways, you know. My parents were a part of starting recycling programs at these trash that we have here in the state of California. So there's so many ways that you can look about how do you cut cost or how to make money that it's not deeming the little guy. That's really kind of like a no-brainer. That's not an intellectual way of looking at something. So we as a company have a board of people that sit on our board of Fortune 500 businessmen. We have a super lawyer, that's one of our board members. And they just have it a different way and a different mindset. And with all of us collaborating with, you know, different backgrounds and different way of looking at things, we are moving the company in a very conscious decision. We also, you know, a sanctuary that we plan to have green that we've talked about, you know, Beth is purchasing as a retirement home for her senior master trainers. So they can have the continued safe place as they get older because they dedicate their life to yoga, to go. And we want to have a dog rescue there. So it helps feed, you know, the organization of the sanctuary as a safe haven. And we are looking to get wards of the state from ages of 8 to 18 that are the hardest to place. So the trainers, so there's ways that I can even show how I can make that profitable. So that's where business becomes very hard, and it's going to be very crucial if you want to be green and you really want to make that shift. Because business, you know, I worked you know, as an environmentalist for a heartbeat for Exxon. And people would say, well, I remember my friends and people that I went to school and said, well, why are you with the enemy? I said, but that's the only person that's going to make the shift. It's not me. So it's better that I find ways to show them if they shift their way that they're doing their business and give them a more economic way of using fuel, because that's always been my passion, they're going to go for it. But if you want to, you're bad, you're evil, you're a polluter, they'll squash you in their lobby, but they will never do anything. So really realize that no one's really their enemy. We're all stuck in a situation where we're all trying to make it better. And we're trying to do our best to make it better. And, you know, as we all start to take that commitment, in numbers, we'll get that shift.
You know, our circle of influence happens to be 100,000 yoga and fitness instructors. So whether we're telling them that they can donate their old eyeglasses to schools in Africa, whether we're telling them that they can collect all the old towels and blankets from their homes and donate them to their local pet shelter, whether we're telling them that they can donate their old books and magazines to a senior center, there are ways for all of us to give back and be green in the process. And a lot of times people want to do the right thing, they just don't know what to do. And when they don't know what to do and then they feel stuck, they get into depression and hopelessness. And I believe that that in part is why we're having this obesity crisis in our country right now. Because when people feel stuck and hopeless, they usually will resort to an addiction. And in our country, I think obesity is just another addiction. I work with groups of people all of the time, mostly groups of women, and just to hear that food is such a crutch for people. Well, food becomes the easiest and most accessible drug that there is. And if we don't think that food is a drug, you know, ask the doctor over here and he'll tell you what sugar does and how it pulls you in. Or watch Super Size Me and see how fast food consumption can make you dependent on that fast food and an addict and all of that. So we have a nation of addicts, probably more that eating you know, food than perhaps drinking alcohol or shooting drugs into their veins or any of the other addictions that are available to us as a very addictive society. I think we just need to choose our addictions carefully. Mine happens to be work, and it used to be working out. Now it's mostly just work. But you know, if we can, as a nation, start to shift our addictive consciousness to more healthy endeavors. I have a lot of friends in the animal advocate world, and they're all addicts too. You know, making social change and getting out there and protesting puppy mills and fur-free city. You know, they just, West Hollywood, they're all on this thing now that West Hollywood is going to be the first fur-free city in America. But at least their addiction is one that benefits society. So, you know, one of my messages is if we're going to have addictions, let's make them good for us and good for the planet. So if you're a green addict, fantastic, you know. If you're, you know, trying to clear your personal space and give your things to others who can benefit, great. We all have circle of influence, and we all have a social responsibility to educate our circle of influence and to be educated ourselves on things like, you know, overconsumption of factory farming products, of the horrific crisis we have right now in the overpopulation of dogs and cats, or people not spaying and neutering their pets. And if you don't think that that's a green issue, it certainly is a green issue. Our shelters are completely overcrowded with dogs and cats who have become disposable because our legislation is not hitting the root of the problem, which is spay and neuter. Instead, they're treating the symptom of the problem, which is bad sheltering, and then euthanizing. California alone euthanizes millions of domestic animals every year. So again, if we have a cause that we are passionate about, if we have knowledge on something, we have the social responsibility to share our knowledge with as many people as possible. And again, as Darlene mentioned, in a way that perhaps is not accusatory. And I used to be, if I saw someone breeding their dog, I would be all up in their grill. You know, and I've had to learn to take it back a little bit. So again, to be passionate, to share with our circle of influence, but to do it in a way that's educational and not accusatory, I think is very important. Questions? Comments? Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
I was in a little bit late,
Yes.
but I don't know if you talked a little bit about how you started your company. Like now it seems like you're huge and you're doing all these cool things, you know, with resources
Yes.
and things, but maybe you can talk
Sure.
a little bit about how you started.
I'm from New York City. I went to college on Long Island. I grew up in Manhattan. I moved to California 6 months after I graduated because I didn't want to do that whole New York thing of working 9 to 5 in a corporation and going out to happy hour every night and being in what felt kind of like a toxic environment while I grew up there. So I moved to California. I got into yoga. It's one of those California things that one does. I became a student of yoga, which led me to become a student of personal growth. I believe that yoga for many people is the doorway in which you walk into the opportunity to advance yourself, your spiritual, mental, and emotional growth. And so I took a couple of teacher trainings. I thought maybe I'll teach seniors or something. And I started teaching. I saw the need in the fitness industry because I've been working out since I was 15. I saw the need for safe yoga in the fitness industry. I saw a lack of education in yoga instructors in the fitness industry. And then in the mid-90s, there weren't really a lot of people teaching yoga, but yoga was starting to gain some popularity. So my background was marketing, advertising, and public relations. So I wrote a couple of articles for fitness trade magazines, Yoga as a Profit Center, and in trade for my articles, they gave me some ad space. I made my first ad that I actually laid out myself. Is that I hire, train, and consult yoga instructors. I got 250 responses off of that ad. It led us to a training in Fargo, North Dakota. At that time, I had one of my students who was an investment guy, played the stock market, loved the logo that I had developed, invested $100,000 of seed money into the company, helped me incorporate. I had also opened up a yoga studio and fitness club in Southern California, which was the first yoga studio in a health club. And from there I was able to share with people the potential of the fitness industry. So we started training in 1997, and it was right thing at the right time. Because of my background in advertising marketing, was able to advertise in my publications. We opened up a studio, and the business just took off. Not without a lot of challenges. It's never been an easy ride, and continues to be sometimes even more challenging than it was back in the early days. Now, our studio was donation only when we started. I was making over $100,000 a year selling advertising space. I was my own boss. My company was based in Columbus, Ohio. I had a great expense account that allowed me to eat at any restaurant I wanted to eat at in Los Angeles. That got pulled really quickly. I had a great health insurance plan. I could go to whatever doctor I wanted. Unfortunately, I was healthy. I didn't need to do that. But I thought to myself one day, well, if I have to go to one more client, and I'm selling advertising space in the power sports industry at the time, and I thought if I have to go now for like one more month or and act like I'm excited about this, I'm going to kill myself. And then, I was teaching yoga on the side, and so I kind of strung along the corporate job for as long as I could until they were like, hey, Beth, you need to like up your ad sales or leave. Bye-bye. Because I thought to myself at that time, you know what? I'm giving up security, but I can always get another job. And if I'm going to get another passion, I don't think that's going to come as easily. So I just made the decision to go from earning 6 figures to no figures. And for the first year, maybe I was getting $1,000 a month in cash from our yoga studio. But I just knew that everything would be fine. And there are many times in our lives where we are at that cliff and we have to jump off. And we are forced with a decision to either jump or not jump. And I say, jump. But our biggest source of referral is always first my friend, my instructor, my club, in that order. So, I believe that a lot of things can be done at the grassroots level.
Can I ask one question? This might be a bit of a, you certainly don't have to answer it if you don't want to. And I thought I would ask both of you the same question, but from a business side of things, if we were to ask you one thing that would keep you up at night, as far as, concerned with your business, what would it be?
For me, the challenge always is the operations of our business. We've been through a major restructure in the past 18 months. We've added in a lot of new technology and computer systems. But systems, proper systems to grow the company to the next level, and to streamline things, that's not my area of expertise. And just finding people with skill sets and operations who can really understand the bigger picture, but also the smaller intricate parts. We've got a lot of balls in the air. We do trainings on any given weekend. There's 15 to 20 trainings going on around the world. We have 11 conferences going on, and we have one here in Del Mar this weekend that I'm going to invite you all to at the end of our talk. So we've got 11 conferences, and we also have on our website, YogaFit.com, we have probably about 200 products. So we've got a lot of balls in the air. We have, a fairly small staff at our corporate office. I don't think there are more than 20 people there. We have 50 YogaFit trainers who work around the country for us, and some actually also work at, handling functions in our business like recruitment of new trainers, conference management, trainer management, logistics, and all of that. So there are a lot of moving parts in the air. So, probably sales and operations are the things that keep me up a lot of nights and can continue to be a source of frustration for me. Because I really, I have my core competency, which is I'm very right brain, let's just say that. I hope that answers your question. Yes?
Another question. During the past 2 or 3 years, have you had to adapt?
Yes.
So are you a reality?
Yes, we have. I know that most companies have, and certainly people aren't buying as much product as they did in the past. People are a lot more cautious with their discretionary income, let's say to go to conferences. You know, that's a heavy financial hit for people. So we've had to adapt, and we've had to, you know, at the same time our recession hit was when I was really entering heavily into the international market. I was in Cyprus to meet with health club owners from around the world in October of 2008 when, you know, the world economy tanked. And then all of a sudden, you know, that trip was all for naught because everybody reined in their spending. We've come out with a very expensive line of clothing during a recession. So yes, we certainly have had to tighten our belt. Personally, I've had to tighten my belt. So yeah, I think that you'll find very few businesses except for people who are doing refinancing of homes.
It's like Purell.
Yeah, yes.
But most businesses take the opportunity during a recession to regroup and to actually start launching special trends. You know, for like products, for mine, for example, the fact that it's going to be green and that the fact that it's green, and also that I've taken my tour background and putting it into the sportswear line. So you're getting the cuts and the construction that you normally wouldn't get in a low and line. But during this time, you know, all these stores that have been struggling, a lot of these merchants are going to need to bring these people back in because the recession is going to change, and we're starting to slowly see it heat back up. And it's the same pendulum that swings back and forth. It's nothing new. But they're going to want to bring people in, and they already know what they have, so they're going to be looking for new lines that's going to be green or what have you. That's going to bring in that traffic into that store. If you talk about how are you going to bring, you know, green to be in a commercial way, you're going to have to show them how that is in an economic time, because they're going to look for ways. I want to do it. I look for tax breaks. I know that we got a tax break for some things that we have done by, you know, making things green. You know, having our appliances, everything, and taking that. You know, there's all these incentives, but you have to be able to educate that person and why. And don't ever feel that because times are tough, that means we have to wait for when times are good. Because now is the time, because when people are going to really have the time to spend, you're going to be spending all that time trying to catch up with everybody that's already laid down the foundation. And you're going to be behind the curve, not in front of it.
Yes.
Do you have any locations in third world countries or poor neighborhoods, and how successful was your philosophy there?
Well, since we don't have brick and mortar, we just do education. We do have trainings, you know, around the world. We have not done any trainings on the continent of Africa, but we've been just on every other continent.
I mean, Thailand, for example, we have been
Thailand.
and Thailand, we've been so well received, you know, which you would think Taiwanese in yoga, you know, that's odd. But yet, the following, we are just rolling out the largest Canadian chain that will be rolling out with Good Life. We're, obviously, that's a very healthy and what have you. But that helps also support our knowledge to go into China. So we're rolling out at the end of the year for the Chinese, which is a communist country, and we're bringing in yoga. But what our company does is we don't align ourselves as if we're YogaFit. We don't say, you know, follow, you know, Buddha, follow the name Gita. We say however it fits you in your lifestyle, because we did a study group with Korean Christians and Muslims, and you know, and how it fits for you. And that's by not enforcing or trying to spoon feed somebody something. Let them have it happen to them organically, and how much they'll decide they want to take from it. How organic and green do people really want to be? At least if they make one step, you've really made a huge impact. If they just recycle this cup, you've made a difference.
You know, and we're not without our challenges. Like, for example, there's a water company that's our corporate sponsor. And so, you know, we give out a lot of bottles of water at our events. Yeah, are we contributing to landfills? But our people are going to buy bottles of water anyway, so.
And our partner is Smart Water, owned by Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Now, it's good water. It has all the electrolytes. So, you know, yes, I do feel confident in saying, yeah, okay, so there are one of our corporate sponsors, but, you know, they are really having, you know, the dehydration and the electrolytes placed for the vital water, where the depleting of vitamins that they need. So you have to weigh it out. You can't become ridiculous, in other words.
We also try to choose hotels that have recycling. When we go to a hotel and have a conference, if they don't have recycling in their room, I will often mention to my conference manager that if they want us back the following year, they need to put recycle bins in the rooms. And I think, you know, going forward in 2012, as a company, we really need to look at just having our conferences at hotels that have committed to recycling. So again, there are a million choices that you can make every day to do it. You had a question?
Yeah, it's kind of philosophic, and it relates to your opening comments about karma yoga and how you can use a small 10-person company. So, is there you know, how much is growth good for you? And have you
Percentage-wise?
No. I mean, like, do you need to grow? I mean, what if you said we're big enough? Let's just focus on quality. I'm just.
You know, it makes me think you should ask that, because there was a magazine article recently, I don't know if it was Time Magazine or something that I was reading about, you know, the nature of companies having to grow. And, you know, this is where I think the spiritual principles and business principles actually do connect. I believe that growth is a function of the human consciousness and the human condition on this planet Earth. And I also believe that most businesses need to keep growing to, you know, because if you're not growing, they say you're dying. So it's just part of the evolutionary condition that, and also again, as an entrepreneur, I can probably come up with 10 different ideas of ways that I would like the business to grow on a daily basis, and unfortunately you can't go through all of them, but this is perhaps the difference between an entrepreneurial company and, you know, a traditional corporate America. But I see that very much of a connection in growth. You know, we've never looked at, okay, this is where we want to get financially, and this is how we're going to get there. My business has very much been an organic, natural process. I started in the studio that was 500 square feet. Before that, we were in my living room. I've seen a lot of businesses, yoga businesses in particular, that get these big studios with multiple rooms and, you know, West Los Angeles, and end up closing down because they started too big. I think that the nature of the universe is organic growth. So, you know.
YogaFit really grows itself. It really decides. It's like you know, I think companies at one point becomes like its own organism.
Yeah, it's generally its own entity.
Sometimes it splinters off, and it starts to grow in different areas that you don't necessarily intend.
I mean, we're moving into the medical industry now. We've got, actually we're looking for more professionals to join. We've developed a 300-hour yoga therapy program where we're offering to chiropractors and medical professionals the opportunity to send a yoga therapist trained by YogaFit into their practice to help their patients help themselves. And again, this is billable through insurance, and it really sets the stage for more help to actually happen in the medical community.
And here's another example of where it's being billed to the insurance, which we already have. That's another way growing, that we were approached by a very large company. Insurance companies want to partner up with us, credit card companies would like to partner up with us, investors contact us often. So the company wants to grow on its own, whether we really want it or not, and who are we to stand in its way?
We've just come out with a Yoga Lean program, which is a yoga for weight loss program, and it's my belief system that if we shift the consciousness of people, we're not going to have obese individuals. But we're not going to fight more obesity just by calorie restriction and telling people to go to the gym 4 times a week. It's got to be a change in their relationship with the self, and that's what yoga gives you. That really nothing else gives you. You can do traditional talk therapy, but that's only going to work the mind, and the mind can't really work on the mind. You can do exercise until the cows come home, but I just saw this morning, I saw someone who was, let's just say, not a very lean person out there